What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I just got back from Arby's, where I found a thumb drive containing a bunch of stupid tweets by Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford. Now, I want to start off by saying Randy Pitchford is his own man, and he can say whatever he likes. There appears to be a rise in this weird, willful misunderstanding of criticism that is trying to say that, hey, criticizing what somebody says is trying to censor them. That's not at all what I'm here to do. I want to highlight an oopsie. I want to highlight reading the room. Randy Pitchford can say whatever he wants to say, but to act like people aren't going to react to that is absurd. And Randy Pitchford stuck his foot in his mouth again over the weekend. It would appear that he is getting angry, that he is taking, why am I still getting hate about the Epic Game Store exclusive? Now, maybe it's true that 2K Games put their foot down and said, hey, this is how it's going to be. But I don't think that Randy Pitchford is so free from guilt, so free from any, he places himself where he says, hey guys, well, I'm one of you. Corporate Commander at 2K Games is the one that chose to do the Epic exclusive. I couldn't do anything to stop it. That is grade A bullshit. Obviously, he's the CEO of the company. He could have put his foot down and said, no, it's got to be on multiple platforms. I'm sure they could have fought the exclusivity period. I just don't believe that the CEO of the company had literally no power. Now, that doesn't mean that Randy Pitchford didn't make the correct decision financially for his company, but people are free to criticize that. Now, after the Epic Store exclusivity dropped, Steam users went to work review brigading Borderlands 2, previous Borderlands games. Now, the point is, and we've already made it, I think what Steam needs to do is put a publisher or developer right next to each game title and allow users to review the developer. I think that should fix most of this. If it didn't, I would at least then get behind deleting wholeheartedly these type of comments. If you give the users a place to give their feedback on the developer or the publisher or something like that, then hopefully they would be less apt to review existing games in that developer's catalog. And again, if it didn't, then I would at least then support the removal of these entirely. Now, Steam has put a system into place to remove these from the score, the overall score. Now, you can still see when, you can still see when people review Brigade. Now, we have, of course, I love hot takes. You automatically lose all credibility for your argument when you stoop to this level, purposely trying to tank reviews of previous installments just because you don't like the decision made for the new release is absurd. This is mob mentality. This is not feedback. Yeah. I'm assuming you have lots of developer friends, people in the industry. And again, Steam has corrected this. They don't count. But it doesn't stop everybody from covering it and still whining that people might want to provide their feedback. And I know my audience is divided on this. And I hope we could all agree that ideally, if you give people a chance to review the developer or the publisher, that still gives them a voice and it avoids this. But then you see Randy Pitchford himself replying to Scott Velasquez. Well, let's see. He works for Borderlands. So a Borderlands employee tweeting about it. Randy replies, ironically, that this misuse is possible and that Steam has no interest in correcting this misuse makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision and makes me want to reconsider Gearbox Publishing's current posture on the platform. This is a veiled threat to Steam. And on top of that, Steam has addressed it. To not know that Randy, is absurd. To willfully misrepresent, which is what I think you're actually doing, is even worse. He then gets completely ratioed on his own comment. And the top comment in reply says, "This wouldn't have happened if there wasn't an exclusivity deal. You, 2K, or whoever is responsible brought this upon themselves, and it's their fault for everyone being pissed." Now, I understand. Randy replies, quote, "I wouldn't hit you if you didn't deserve it. It's your fault I'm hitting you. WTF is wrong with you and this victim-blaming BS. Kindly F off, troll." Again, this is not the commentary I would expect out of a CEO. For some reason in the gaming industry, it's accepted, even applauded. It's not professional. And to be honest with you, respect is given when it is received. You must first show respect if you demand it. Randy is not acting like somebody who respects their customers. And of course, he gets blown out. Ironically, the fact it gets your guys' attention means it works. And again, top comment, user reviews revisited. And this response, I think, Orc Faller 10 is excellent. It's so good, I want to read it. It's about remembering your roots. It's about knowing that without Steam, Randy, you wouldn't have what you have. Like 10 plus million people own Borderlands on Steam. It's literally among the top 10 sold games on it. Now, because some people are pissed, he's engaging in some borderline revisionistic BS. Maybe if your company didn't put their greed for more money above the interests of your actual customers, people wouldn't, quote, protest in the way that actually gets a reaction out of you. I'm sure they would prefer you to leave you a message on Epic Game Store, but that's just another consumer-friendly feature missing from it. Add it to the pile, I guess. There's no universe in which Borderlands 3 wouldn't have been a massive financial success. But you couldn't pass on a little bit of extra bribe money, even if it meant effing potentially millions of your fans. Borderlands 3 was going to print money one way or another. The only people capable of hurting its success at this point are CEO poops. If you seriously thought the whole thing would go over smoothly, then I can't even put into words how out of touch with reality you must be. You know which games didn't get effing review bombed this week? The ones that didn't engage in anti-consumer business practices. Quote, "Our approach is to be wherever the consumer is, and we distribute very widely. Generally speaking, we have not been a believer in exclusive relationships, and I wouldn't comment on any particular store. I think our experience is that consumers want to shop where they can get multiplicity of titles." Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, February 2019. "A company that will lie straight to your face, no actual spine or ethics across all leadership positions. Cry me a freaking river, Randy." Yeah, I mean, I get that you want to reply. I get that. I really do. But again, you have to read the room. I mean, you're a magician, Randy, right? You know that you have to read the room. And people are just not going to support the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation coming out and taking a dump on somebody, even if they're right. You have the meltdown continues. Sorry, you believe what you want, but some people believe the earth is flat, and 9/11 was an inside job, and JFK was killed by Castro. Conspiracy beliefs not based on facts, but based on your personal bias are not the path to truth and reason. Again, this is Randy Pitchford being a dick. He is, and these are people that, have bought his game. Again, I get the argument that, hey, just because you bought a product from me doesn't give you the right to be a complete jerk. And I do support that. Certainly, Randy is getting a lot of hate, but he could just put down Twitter for the day. It's not a requirement to live. It isn't a requirement to engage. There's been multiple times that Randy has tweeted out saying, well, I had nothing to do with it. Again, I don't believe that. Now, I believe that Randy Pitchford was instrumental in it being an Epic Game Store exclusive. I think it being an Epic Game Store was probably good for the game and good for his pocketbook. And there is this anonymous post floating around, which a lot of people sent me, and I didn't want to cover it because it is an anonymous post. And, if you're not going to put your name on something, I understand. But, I prefer to have the source reach out to me so I can verify that they actually work there. Oftentimes when I get sources, I'll say, hey, take a picture of your name badge or take a picture of a paycheck and redact your information to prove you work there, or tell me some details so I can be satisfied that you actually work there. I wasn't able to vet this, but we'll look at it because articles have been written about it. I work at Gearbox. Time to spill the beans since we're not allowed on Twitter. Interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's true or not because you have a Borderlands social media person on Twitter, but regardless, I've messaged what I'm about to say to several YouTubers as protest for Epic Game Store exclusive, so now I'm telling you all in case they twist what I said. I typed on mobile, so apologize for formatting if it's weird on desktop. Randy Pitchford is on Twitter right now, quote, taking the high ground, as if he had nothing to do with it. Our publisher had no interest in Epic exclusive until Randy pushed it and convinced them to do it, all because he wants a bigger bonus he didn't earn. He screams and yells at us over the smallest thing. He's like a big bully, almost. And you can see that if you watch the press conference with how nervous the others looked next to him. That's fair. They could have also been nervous because they were on a big stage. There's a lot of reasons those people could be nervous, Borderlands 3 by Randy's choice is pushing online multiplayer hardcore over the story. We legitimately have our 15-hour campaign done and ready to go and are being forced to make at least 50 hours of online stuff for launch. Everything you loved about Borderlands 1 and 2 is non-existent in 3. So we're going to find out if this is true. If the main campaign is really only 15 hours, that's going to be a huge disappointment. I mean, I guess if it was like an amazing 15 hours and then, that's if you push straight through. But you could really, I play games slower than most, so maybe it's 30 hours. I think 40 hours is the right amount of time in a campaign, somewhere around that. But it can be good. If it's 15 amazing hours, we'll see. And there's plenty of specifics in this post, so we're going to know if this person really does work there. And by the way, if you work at Gearbox, I know Gearbox employees watch my videos. I have a provable history of always protecting my sources. I'm registered as a news agency. I demand the same protections that any news writer would get, and I protect all my sources. So feel free to email me and verify or debunk this, because I will definitely cover that. After the Epic Store exclusive was confirmed inside the studio, we were told we were not allowed to talk about the issue on the platform, on our Twitters, or anything. Well, that could be what they mean. So where does this lead us? As a rebellion, we've stolen a build of the game and we'll upload it on Pirate Bay so you can play the story in 4 weeks if our demands are not met. Now it sounds like a little BS. We want no Epic exclusive. We want better working conditions. We want to work 40-hour weeks maximum, as we've been forced to do 50 plus because of online. 50-hour work week is not that big of a deal. We want Randy to stop being a tyrant and take anger management. We want Gearbox 2009 again, not this malicious working environment that we've became. It's odd. I'm going to go with this as a troll at this point. There's some weird... we'll know, obviously, but it has been floating around, so I want to address that. I am not convinced of the validity of this, but I'm sure Gearbox employees will reach out to me at thequartering@gmail.com and let me know if this is really true. The idea that you would have stolen a build of the game and will upload it to Pirate Bay. The game isn't done yet, I assume. Is the game already done? I don't know. It's getting pushed around, obviously. But, I don't understand, attacking your fans like this, responding to criticism like, anybody I disagree with is a troll. That is how, that's how kids act, not CEOs of companies. And Randy Pitchford should have expected this. And, he can cry himself to sleep this week at the end of the year on a giant bet of cash, more money than probably any of us could ever even imagine or spend in a lifetime. Borderlands 3 is still going to sell 10 million copies. They're going to make tons of money. But you know what? Maybe I'm going to skip the game if their CEO keeps acting like a total douche. And Randy would probably tell you he doesn't care. For whatever reason, he's already blocked me on Twitter, even though I defended him against when everyone was saying he had like CP on a thumb drive or something like that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think, is there a line when you're a CEO that you shouldn't cross with the community? I believe there is. Does it get close to the kind of censoring? No, I don't think so. I'm not saying he's not allowed to say it or shouldn't be allowed to say it. I'm saying he should know better, much in the way where I talked about even Joe, and Joe and I squashed our stuff. I'm like, hey, you can rant about Trump all you want, but I don't think you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to. There's a lot more on Randy's Twitter where he's, basically arguing with people, saying like, this one earlier, I heard you got a bonus from Activision, so you would talk junk about EA on Twitter. Like, what? I don't get it. I'm not sure. That is petty. It's not what you want out of a CEO. This is not a publisher gripe, not a developer gripe. I'm sorry, this is a publisher gripe, not a developer gripe. Switch is pretty rad if you really need to spend that money, because people are trolling him. Hey, any suggestions on what I should do with the $250 I was going to spend on Borderlands 3 Collector's Edition now that I can't buy it because you didn't release it on the platform I can play on? Maybe switch with Pokemon? Randy is not debunking this either. That's an interesting thing. I would be happy to support the amazing game you've been working on for 5 years on Borderlands 3. Looks at me. Can't wait to play. You can have my $250 and deserve every penny. Aw. Yeah, a lot of this is just outrage for outrage's sake, but, if you're going to react like this, Randy, then don't be surprised if more people continue to troll you. It'd be interesting to hear what you all have to say about this in the comment section down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.